Welcome to the English learning community. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode. Today, we're diving into something truly special. A story that's not just going to improve your listening and writing skills, but also inspire you to take your English to the next level, so grab a cup of coffee. Unlock the secrets of learning English. Fun, easy, and effective strategies for success. The Boy Who Dreamed in English. Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by green hills and flowing rivers, there lived a handsome young boy named Arjun. Arjun was a curious and bright child, but he had one big dream that seemed impossible to everyone around him. He wanted to learn English. In Arjun's village, most people spoke only their native language. English was considered a foreign language, something only rich or city people could learn. But Arjun didn't care about what others thought. He had a reason for his dream. One day when Arjun was just 10 years old, a group of tourists visited the village. They spoke English, and Arjun was fascinated by the way the words sounded. He tried to talk to them, but he couldn't understand a single word. One of the tourists, a kind woman named Sarah, noticed Arjun's curiosity. She smiled at him and said, "Hello, how are you?" Arjun didn't know what to say. He just stared at her, feeling embarrassed. Sarah patted his head and gave him a small book with pictures and English words. "This is for you," she said. "Learn well, little one." That moment changed Arjun's life. He decided he would learn English, no matter how hard it was. But the journey wasn't easy. The first challenge, no teacher. Arjun's village didn't have an English teacher. The school only taught basic math and the local language. Arjun asked his parents if he could go to the city to study, but they couldn't afford it. His father, a farmer, said, "Son, English won't fill your stomach. Focus on things that matter." But Arjun didn't give up. He remembered the book Sarah had given him. It was a simple picture dictionary with English words and their meanings. Every night, after finishing his chores, Arjun would sit under the light of a kerosene lamp and study the book. He didn't understand everything, but he tried his best. One day he saw the word apple next to a picture of a red fruit. He pointed at the picture and said, "Apple!" It was the first English word he learned. He felt so proud of himself. The second challenge, laughter and doubt. When Arjun told his friends about his dream, they laughed at him. "Why do you want to learn English?" they asked. But Arjun didn't let their words break his spirit. He remembered Sarah's smile and the way she encouraged him. He knew that learning English could open doors to a bigger world. The turning point, a radio and a dream. One day, Arjun's uncle gave him an old radio. It was broken, but Arjun managed to fix it. When he turned it on, he heard a voice speaking in English. It was a news broadcast from a faraway city. Arjun couldn't understand much, but he listened carefully every day. He started picking up new words and phrases. He learned how to say hello, thank you, and goodbye. He even tried to repeat the sentences he heard on the radio. His pronunciation wasn't perfect, but he kept practicing. One night, Arjun had a dream. In the dream, he was standing on a big stage, speaking English fluently. People from all over the world were clapping for him. When he woke up, he felt more determined than ever. Lesson 1. Start small, dream big. Arjun's story teaches us an important lesson. Learning something new, like English, can seem impossible at first. But if you start small and stay consistent, you can achieve your dreams. Arjun didn't have a teacher or fancy books, but he used what he had, a picture dictionary and an old radio. If you're learning English, start with simple words and phrases. Practice every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. In the next part of the story, we'll see how Arjun's hard work pays off. He'll face new challenges, meet new people, and discover the power of never giving up. The power of persistence. Arjun's journey to learn English was far from easy, but he never gave up. Every day, he found new ways to practice. He would label objects around his house with their English names. A piece of paper with the word table stuck to the table, chair on the chair, and window on the window. His family thought he was crazy, but Arjun didn't care. He was determined. One day, while listening to the radio, Arjun heard an advertisement for an English-speaking competition in the nearby town. The winner would get a scholarship to study in the city. Arjun's heart raced. This was his chance, but there was one problem. The competition was only 2 months away, and Arjun could barely speak a few sentences in English. Arjun knew he wasn't ready, but he decided to try anyway. He practiced every day, repeating sentences from the radio and trying to have conversations with himself. He even started writing short stories in English, though they were full of mistakes. One evening, Arjun's father teased him practicing. "What are you doing, son?" he asked. "I'm preparing for an English competition," Arjun replied nervously. His father sighed. "Arjun, you're wasting your time. You're just a village boy. How can you compete with city kids who have been learning English since they were born?" Arjun felt a lump in his throat. He wanted to cry, but he held back his tears. "I don't know, father," he said, "but I have to try." The fourth challenge, a helping hand. The next day, something amazing happened. Arjun was sitting by the river, practicing his English, when he heard someone say, "Hello!" He turned around and saw a young man with a backpack. The man introduced himself as Ravi, a college student from the city who was visiting the village for a project. Ravi noticed Arjun's notebook filled with English words and sentences. "Are you learning English?" Ravi asked. "Yes," Arjun replied shyly, "but it's very hard." Ravi smiled. "I can help you. I'm studying to be an English teacher." For the next few weeks, Ravi became Arjun's mentor. He taught him grammar, pronunciation, and even how to think in English. Arjun's progress was slow, but he was improving every day. The competition day. Finally, the day of the competition arrived. Arjun's hands were shaking as he stood on the stage in front of a large audience. The other participants were confident and well-dressed, while Arjun wore his best but simple clothes. When it was his turn to speak, Arjun took a deep breath. He talked about his village, his dreams, and why he wanted to learn English. His sentences weren't perfect, but he spoke from the heart. The audience listened in silence, and when he finished, they erupted into applause. The result. Arjun didn't win the competition, but he received a special award for his determination and passion. The judges were impressed by his story and offered him a chance to attend a free English course in the city. Arjun's dream was finally coming true. Lesson 2. Never give up. Arjun's story teaches us that success doesn't come overnight. It takes hard work, persistence, and the courage to face challenges. Even when people doubt you, believe in yourself. And remember, help can come from unexpected places. If you're learning English, don't be afraid to ask for help. Join a class, find a language partner, or use online resources. Every small step brings you closer to your goal. We'll see how Arjun's life changes in the city. He'll face new challenges, make new friends, and discover the true power of language. A new world in the city. Arjun's life changed completely when he moved to the city to attend the English course. It was his first time leaving the village, and everything felt new and overwhelming. The tall buildings, the noisy streets, and the fast-paced life were so different from the quiet, peaceful village he had always known. On his first day at the language school, Arjun felt nervous. The other students were from different parts of the country, and many of them already knew a lot of English. Arjun, on the other hand, could barely introduce himself. The fifth challenge, feeling out of place. During the first week, Arjun struggled to keep up. The teacher spoke quickly, and Arjun often didn't understand what was being said. He felt embarrassed when he made mistakes in front of the class. One day, during a group activity, Arjun mispronounced a word and a few students laughed. Arjun's face turned red, and he wanted to run out of the room. But then he remembered why he had come to the city. He thought about his village, his family, and the dream he had worked so hard for. He took a deep breath and decided to keep trying. The sixth challenge, making friends. Arjun knew he couldn't do this alone. He needed friends who could help him. One day, he noticed a girl named Priya sitting alone during lunch. She looked shy, just like him. Arjun gathered his courage and walked up to her. "Hi, my name is Arjun," he said in English, trying his best to sound confident. Priya smiled. "Hi, I'm Priya. Where are you from?" Arjun told her about his village, and Priya shared that she was from a small town too. They quickly became friends and started practicing English together. Priya was better at grammar, and Arjun was good at vocabulary. They helped each other improve. The seventh challenge, overcoming fear. One of the biggest challenges for Arjun was speaking in front of others. He was afraid of making mistakes and being judged. But his teacher, Mrs. Rao, noticed his fear and encouraged him. "Arjun, don't be afraid of mistakes," she said. "Mistakes are how we learn. Every time you make a mistake, you're one step closer to getting it right." Mrs. Rao started giving Arjun small tasks, like reading a paragraph aloud or answering a simple question in class. At first, Arjun's voice trembled, but with each attempt, he grew more confident. A life-changing moment. One day, the school announced a storytelling competition. The students had to tell a story in English in front of the entire school. Arjun wanted to participate, but he was terrified. Priya encouraged him. "Arjun, you have such an interesting story to tell. Share it with everyone." Arjun thought about his journey, the boy from a small village who dreamed of learning English. He decided to tell his own story. On the day of the competition, Arjun's heart was pounding. He stood on the stage, looking at the sea of faces in the audience. He took a deep breath and began. "My name is Arjun, and I come from a small village," he started. His voice was shaky at first, but as he continued, he grew more confident. He talked about the tourists who visited his village, the old radio, and his dream of learning English. He shared his struggles, his fears, and how he never gave up. When he finished, the audience was silent for a moment. Then, they erupted into applause. Some people even had tears in their eyes. Arjun had touched their hearts with his story. The result. Arjun didn't win the competition, but he won something even more valuable: confidence. After that day, he no longer feared speaking English. He realized that language is not just about words and grammar. It's about connecting with people and sharing your story. Lesson 3. Confidence comes from action. Arjun's story teaches us that confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from taking action. Every time you try, even if you fail, you become a little braver. If you're learning English, don't wait until you're ready to speak. Start now, even if you make mistakes. Speak with friends, join a conversation group, or practice with a language partner. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become. The ripple effect of dreams. After the storytelling competition, Arjun's life took another turn. His confidence grew. And began to see English not just as a language, but as a bridge to connect with people and opportunities. His journey, however, was far from over. The 8th challenge. A new opportunity. One day, Mrs. Rao called Arjun to her office. "Arjun," she said with a smile, "I've been watching your progress, and I'm very proud of you. There's an internship program at a local NGO that helps underprivileged children. They're looking for someone who can teach basic English to kids. Would you be interested?" Arjun's eyes widened. "Me, teach English?" Mrs. Rao nodded. "You have a unique story, Arjun. Those children will relate to you. Inspire them just like you inspired us." Arjun felt a mix of excitement and fear. Teaching English to others felt like a huge responsibility, but he also saw it as a chance to give back. He decided to take the opportunity. The 9th challenge. Facing doubts again. On his first day at the NGO, Arjun met a group of children who came from backgrounds similar to his. They were shy, hesitant, and unsure of themselves. Arjun remembered how he had felt when he first started learning English. As he stood in front of the class, his old fears crept back. What if I'm not good enough? What if I can't teach them properly? He thought. But then he looked into the children's eyes and saw the same curiosity and hope he had once felt. He took a deep breath and began. The first lesson, believe in yourself. Arjun started by sharing his own story. He told the children about the village, the old radio, and the competition. He spoke about his mistakes, his fears, and how he kept going despite the challenges. The children listened intently. One boy raised his hand and asked, "But how did you know you could do it?" Arjun smiled. "I didn't know. I just believed in my dream and took one step at a time. And you can do it too." The 10th challenge, making learning fun. Arjun realized that teaching wasn't just about explaining grammar or vocabulary. It was about making learning fun and relatable. He started using games, songs, and stories to teach English. He taught them simple phrases through role-playing and encouraged them to practice with each other. One day, he brought a ball to class. He threw the ball to a student and asked, "What's your favorite food?" The student caught the ball, answered, and then threw it to another classmate. The children laughed and learned without even realizing it. A girl named Mira was particularly shy. She rarely spoke in class and struggled with even basic words. Arjun noticed her sitting alone during breaks and decided to talk to her. "Mira, why don't you join the others?" he asked gently. Mira looked down. "I'm scared I'll say something wrong," she whispered. Arjun knelt beside her. "Do you know how many mistakes I made when I started learning English? Too many to count, but every mistake taught me something. Don't be afraid, Mira. I'm here to help you." Over the next few weeks, Arjun worked closely with Mira. He encouraged her to speak, even if it was just one word at a time. Slowly, Mira began to open up. One day, she stood in front of the class and told a short story in English. The other children clapped, and Mira beamed with pride. Lesson 4. Small steps lead to big changes. Arjun's experience with Mira taught him an important lesson. Progress doesn't happen overnight. It's the small, consistent steps that lead to big changes. Whether you're learning English or teaching it, patience and persistence are key. If you're struggling with English, don't focus on how far you have to go. Celebrate the small victories, learning a new word, understanding a sentence, or having a short conversation. Every step counts. The ripple effect. Arjun's work at the NGO didn't just help the children learn English, it gave them hope. They saw in Arjun a reflection of themselves, someone who had started with nothing but a dream and turned it into something real. One day, Mira came up to Arjun after class. "Thank you, sir," she said. "I want to be like you when I grow up. I want to teach others too." Arjun felt a lump in his throat. He realized that his journey wasn't just about him anymore. It was about inspiring others to believe in themselves and chase their dreams. Lesson 5. Your journey can inspire others. Arjun's story shows us that our struggles and successes can have a ripple effect. When we pursue our dreams, we inspire others to do the same. Your journey, no matter how small it seems, can make a difference in someone else's life. If you're learning English, remember that you're not just doing it for yourself. You're showing others that it's possible to overcome challenges and achieve your goals. Arjun's life had transformed in ways he could never have imagined. From a small village boy with a dream to a confident English teacher inspiring others, his journey was nothing short of extraordinary. But life had one more twist in store for him, a moment that would bring his story full circle. The 11th challenge, a letter from the past. One evening, as Arjun was preparing for his next class at the NGO, he received a letter. The envelope was simple, but the handwriting looked familiar. He opened it and began to read. Dear Arjun, I don't know if you remember me, but I was the tourist who gave you a picture dictionary many years ago. My name is Sarah. I recently visited your village again, and I'm so proud of you, Arjun. You've not only achieved your dream, but are also helping others achieve theirs. I would love to meet you and hear your story in person. If you're willing, please come to the city's community center this Saturday at 3 p.m. With admiration, Sarah? Arjun's hands trembled as he held the letter. Memories of that day flooded back. The kind woman who had smiled at him, the book she had given him, and the spark it had ignited in his heart. He couldn't believe she had reached out to him after all these years. The 12th challenge, facing the past. Saturday arrived, and Arjun stood outside the community center, his heart racing. He was nervous. What would he say to her? How could he thank her for changing his life? Arjun struggled to find the words. "Thank you," he finally said, his voice choked with emotion. "That book you gave me, it changed everything." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Arjun, you changed everything. I gave you a book, but you turned it into a dream. I'm so proud of you." The emotional reunion. They sat down, and Arjun shared his entire journey, the struggles, the failures, the moments of doubt, and the triumphs. Sarah listened intently, her heart swelling with pride. "Arjun," she said, "do you know why I gave you that book?" Arjun shook his head. "Because I saw something in you, a spark, a determination. I knew you were special, and you've proven that in ways I could never have imagined." Arjun felt a wave of gratitude. "You believed in me before I even believed in myself," he said. "Thank you." The 13th challenge, a new dream. As they talked, Sarah shared her own story. She was a teacher who traveled to remote areas to help children access education. She had seen countless children with dreams, but no opportunities. "Arjun," she said, "your story can inspire so many others. Would you consider joining me on my next project? We could visit villages and teach children together. You could show them that no dream is too big." Arjun's heart swelled with excitement. This was his chance to give back on an even larger scale. But it also meant leaving his job at the NGO and stepping into the unknown. The decision. Arjun thought about the children he had taught, the lives he had touched, and the dream that had started it all. He realized that his journey wasn't just about learning English, it was about using his skills to make a difference. He looked at Sarah and smiled. "I'll do it," he said. "Let's help others find their spark." Lesson 6. Dreams grow when shared. Arjun's story teaches us that dreams are not meant to be kept to ourselves. When we share our dreams and help others achieve theirs, they grow bigger and more meaningful. If you're learning English, think about how you can use it to help others. Maybe you can teach a friend, volunteer at a community center, or simply share your journey to inspire someone else. As Arjun and Sarah prepared for their first project together, Arjun felt a deep sense of fulfillment. His journey had come full circle, from a boy who dreamed of learning English to a man helping others dream big. Final lesson: never stop dreaming. Arjun's story reminds us that dreams have no limits. No matter where you start or how many obstacles you face, your dreams are valid. Keep believing, keep working, and never stop dreaming. The end, or just the beginning. Arjun's journey doesn't end here. It's just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with endless possibilities. And who knows? Maybe one day, someone you inspire will inspire others, creating a ripple effect of dreams and hope. This story is just as powerful. Keep dreaming, keep learning, and keep inspiring. Funny moments during Arjun's journey. While Arjun's journey was filled with challenges, inspiration, and emotional moments, there were also plenty of funny and lighthearted incidents that kept him going. These moments not only added joy to his life, but also taught him valuable lessons about not taking things too seriously. Let's dive into some of the hilarious highlights of Arjun's adventure. The Apple Incident. Apple Incident. When Arjun first started learning English, he was obsessed with the word apple because it was the first word he learned from Sarah's picture dictionary. One day, he decided to show off his new vocabulary to his family. At dinner, he pointed to a bowl of oranges on the table and proudly declared, "Apple!" His little sister Ria burst out laughing. That's not an apple, Arjun. It's an orange. Arjun's face turned red, but he laughed along. Okay, he said. But they're both round and juicy. From that day on, his family jokingly called oranges apples just to tease him. It became a running joke in the household, and Arjun learned to laugh at his mistakes. The radio misunderstanding. When Arjun first started listening to the old radio, he often misunderstood what was being said. One day, he heard the phrase, raining cats and dogs, during a weather report. Arjun was horrified. He ran to his father and said, Papa, the radio says cats and dogs are falling from the sky. What if one lands on our roof? His father burst out laughing. Arjun, it's just an expression. It means it's raining heavily. Arjun scratched his head, still confused. But why cats and dogs? Why not elephants and tigers? His father couldn't stop laughing. English is a funny language, son. You'll get used to it. The silent E confusion. During his English classes in the city, Arjun struggled with the concept of the silent E. His teacher, Mrs. Rao, explained that sometimes the letter E at the end of a word is silent, like in cake or hope. Arjun nodded, but he didn't fully understand. The next day, during a spelling test, Mrs. Rao asked the class to spell the word time. Arjun confidently wrote T-I-M and then added a big, bold E at the end. But just to be safe, he whispered, E, as he wrote it. The whole class erupted in laughter. Mrs. Rao smiled and said, Arjun, the E is silent. You don't have to say it out loud. Arjun grinned sheepishly. I just wanted to make sure it knew I hadn't forgotten it. One day, Arjun went to the city market to buy groceries. He wanted to buy a bottle of water, but he accidentally said, I want a battle of water, please. The shopkeeper looked confused. A battle of water? Are you planning a war? Arjun realized his mistake and laughed. No, a bottle of water. The shopkeeper chuckled and handed him the bottle. Here you go, soldier. Good luck with your battle. Arjun walked away, shaking his head and laughing at himself. He made a mental note to practice his pronunciation more carefully. The ghost in the classroom. During one of his teaching sessions at the NGO, Arjun decided to make learning fun by telling a spooky story in English. He wanted to teach the children words like ghost, dark, and scary. As he dramatically whispered, and then the ghost appeared. The lights in the classroom suddenly flickered and went out. The children screamed, and Arjun jumped in surprise. It's just a power cut, he said, trying to calm everyone down. But one little boy shouted, The ghost is real! Run! The children scrambled to the door, and Arjun had to chase after them, laughing and assuring them it was just a coincidence. The power came back on a few minutes later, and the children returned, giggling and teasing Arjun about his ghost story. The fancy English phase. When Arjun first learned big words like extraordinary and phenomenal, he started using them everywhere, even when they didn't quite fit. One day he told his friend Priya, I had an extraordinary breakfast today. It was just bread and butter, but it was phenomenal. Priya raised an eyebrow. Arjun, you don't have to use big words for everything. Sometimes simple is better. Arjun nodded seriously. You're absolutely correct. I shall endeavor to simplify my linguistic expressions henceforth. Priya burst out laughing. Arjun, you're impossible! The English-only day. To practice his English, Arjun decided to have an English-only day, where he would speak only English, no matter what. At lunch, his friend Ravi asked him in their native language, Arjun, can you pass the salt? Arjun replied in English, I'm sorry, I cannot comprehend your request. Please rephrase it in English. Ravi rolled his eyes. Arjun, just pass the salt. Arjun handed him the salt with a grin. You're welcome, my dear friend. May your meal be exceedingly delightful. Ravi groaned. You're so annoying. Lesson from the laughter. These funny moments taught Arjun an important lesson. Learning doesn't have to be serious all the time. Laughter and humor can make the journey enjoyable and memorable. Mistakes are part of the process, and sometimes the best way to learn is to laugh at yourself and keep going. If you're learning English, don't be afraid to make mistakes or have a little fun along the way. After all, life is too short to take everything seriously. Arjun's journey had been a roller coaster of emotions, full of challenges, funny moments, and life-changing experiences. But as he stood on the stage at the community center, surrounded by the children he had taught, and the people who had supported him, he felt a deep sense of happiness and fulfillment. This was the moment he had dreamed of, and it was even more beautiful than he had imagined. The big day, a celebration of dreams. The community center was decorated with colorful banners and balloons. The event was a celebration of the children's progress in learning English, and Arjun had been invited as the guest of honor. As he looked out at the audience, he saw familiar faces: his family, his friends Priya and Ravi, his teacher Mrs. Rao, and of course Sarah, the woman who had started it all. The children performed skits, sang songs, and recited poems in English. Arjun watched with pride as Meera, the shy girl he had encouraged, confidently recited a poem she had written herself. The audience clapped and cheered, and Arjun felt tears welling up in his eyes. When it was Arjun's turn to speak, he walked up to the microphone and took a deep breath. "When I was a little boy," he began, "I had a dream. I wanted to learn English, but back then it felt impossible. I didn't have a teacher, I didn't have books, and I didn't even have the courage to speak. But I had one thing, a dream, and that dream led me here today." He paused and looked at Sarah. "I want to thank Sarah, who gave me my first English book and believed in me before I even believed in myself. And I want to thank Mrs. Rao, who taught me that mistakes are just stepping stones to success. And to my friends Priya and Ravi, thank you for always supporting me and making me laugh along the way." Arjun then turned to the children. "And to all of you, my students, my friends, you are the reason I'm here today. You've shown me that dreams don't just belong to one person. They can grow and spread, touching the lives of others. You've taught me that the best way to achieve your dreams is to help others achieve theirs." A surprise announcement. Just as Arjun finished his speech, Sarah stood up and walked to the stage. She took the microphone and said, "Arjun, your journey has inspired all of us, and today I have a surprise for you." She handed him an envelope. Arjun opened it and read the letter inside. It was an invitation to speak at an international education conference. The theme of the conference was The Power of Dreams, and Arjun had been chosen as one of the keynote speakers. Arjun was speechless. "Me? Speak at an international conference?" Sarah smiled. "Yes, Arjun. Your story needs to be heard by the world. You've shown us that no dream is too big, no matter where you start." The ripple effect. As the event came to an end, Arjun realized that his journey was far from over. It was just the beginning of something much bigger. He had started as a boy with a dream, and now he was a man with a mission: to inspire others to dream big and never give up. The children surrounded him, hugging him and thanking him for being their teacher. Meera handed him a handmade card that read, "Thank you for believing in us. You are our hero." Arjun felt a warmth in his heart. He knew that he had made a difference, not just in his own life, but in the lives of so many others. Final lesson: dream big, give back. Arjun's story teaches us that dreams are not just about personal success. They are about making a difference in the world. When you achieve your dreams, use them to lift others up. Share your story, inspire others, and create a ripple effect of hope and possibility. A happy ending. As Arjun left the community center that evening, he looked up at the stars. He remembered the nights he had spent under the same sky, dreaming of a better future. And now, that future was here, brighter and more beautiful than he had ever imagined. He smiled and whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." Arjun's journey reminds us that every ending is a new beginning. No matter where you are in life, keep dreaming, keep learning, and keep inspiring. Your story is still being written, and the best is yet to come. Thank you for following Arjun's journey. If his story has inspired you, remember, your dreams are valid, your efforts matter, and your journey can change the world. We daily work hours just to add value in your life, so if you enjoyed today's story and found it helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And we're here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. You've got this.